Okay, we're going to rebuild some rock arms here. So these get worn, that we worked on. So this one here is pretty heavily worn right here. I don't know if you can see the low spot through there. But you can see the wear marks. It wears from that edge to right here, and then from this edge here to the opposite side over here. So it wears in a pattern like this. And over here, it's brand new, which is on the bottom at the same angle, because that's not where the wear goes. So all your load is upward twisting action like this. So that's why it always wears right here. These blocks wear out too, so what you do is you sand these down a little bit on both sides, and then you bolt them together like that. And then I have an expanding reamer right here, which will get me within teeth out a 7/8 diameter these are. And then I'll go over the hone over there and I'll hone them. I'll grab one of the mandrels over there and hone it to size. So I get a nice round hole. So anyway, I'm going to get ready to work on this. So these here, you can tell they need rebuilding. See that in play right there? That don't mean anything. What does matter is the up and down inside the block itself. So let me get this over here and see a little better. So first you want to make sure these work nice and free. Then you take it and pull it, go back and forth like this. You can hear the clearance. That's up and down, not anything else. This direction here, not very much. Up and down, the way it wears. You can hear it. So that'll sound like loose valves. And actually it's your rocker arms clattering. Here's a set here that's been blasted already. See, this one's not worn nearly as bad as the other one was. Now you got a short and a long side. So the long side always goes on the rocker side, or I mean the push rod side, not the valve side. Cap's the same way. Of course this one doesn't want to go together. There it goes. Free. Yeah, this one's a lot tighter. This one's a lot better condition than the other one. Still got clearance in it, but it's tighter. Also doesn't like coming apart as easy too. And the reason it's tighter is because this rock arm's not worn as much as the other one was. Clearance is in the arm. Still see the marks in there, but not as much. So anyway, I'm gonna work on this. You can see how it wears through the block here too. It wears only on this side here and then at an angle like this here. These other parts don't hit. Right here don't hit, right there don't hit, and over here where it's dark doesn't hit. It only wears at an angle like this. So we can't do much about the wear on side to side here, but we can go ahead and blow it. Cut it off this surface, squeeze them together a little bit, which will make them tight top to bottom, and then we can go ahead and re-hone them, which will help a little bit. So that's what we're going to do right now. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark these so we know which ones go where. It doesn't really matter which rock arm goes where because we're going to be resetting them up anyway. So you don't have to worry about marking those. You do need to mark the blocks top to bottom so you know which one goes where. So I'm going to mark them on the rocker side, which is our long side. Put a stamp here and here. So you stamp something, get a nice good steel block to work off of, like this. A 2-inch steel block, weighs a few pounds, give you something good to beat against. Okay, so we want the long side, which is this side here. Beat on it right here. So I just grab block 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean 2, 3, 4, 5, because I don't like start with 1. It's hard to see a 1. But you can see a 2 pretty easy. Most of the time. Except in this case. It's nice if you have a flat surface to hit against, which in this case it isn't. Yeah, well. And it appears this stamp ain't worth a squat because it's not even marking the brass. It's a pretty good hit. Yeah, it's barely even leaving a mark in there. So, stamp's holding up, but it's not leaving enough, nothing I can see with. So we need a heavier hammer probably. So give me a heavier hammer to use. You can either hit it really hard or you can hit it more controllable with a heavier hammer. So we're going to move up to a 1.5 pound hammer. This one right here. And see if that works any better. Okay, this one I cannot see the mark at all. Now the other thing you do is you can hold it over here on the side of the block where you got more impact. And you can kind of see the mark a little bit. Alright, that'll have to do for now. I'm going to do one of these dark blocks also. Trying to get away. It's taken off. It's hard to do it this way, so I'll make it easier for me. Get another block. Yeah, look what I found. Another block. Of course, these are supposed to be the same block height, but like most things around here, nothing's consistent. This block must have something underneath it. Oh yeah, that explains it. We'll just flip it around. Alright. Lots of playing around to get something easy done, right? Alright, which side are we on? We're on the correct side. Still trying to get away from it. What I have to do. Move up to number 3. No matter how you put these, they don't hold it. And that's not a very flat surface to push against. That might have something to do when it doesn't work very good. Almost a 3. So these stamps are pretty well worthless. They kind of leave a little bit of a mark. Not much you can see with, so make sure you keep your blocks separate. This is a really bad block here. See, it's all torn up. See, that one's really bad. The rocker arm's scored up too. See, it's a real rough in here. See all the seizure marks in it. So this is a bad arm. So I don't think we'll be using this one for anything. So we'll keep this one off the side. No reason to stamp that block. We're not going to use. Get an extra one. I guess that's why it was extra. It was no good. Okay, so I'm going to go to a number 4 stamp. If you can't get these out, just tap them a little bit. See, this one's kind of rough too. Maybe we ought to rebuild it at arm. Yeah. A little metal transfer on that thing. Definitely tell the bad ones from the good ones. Okay, so what number are we up to now? I lost track. I think we're on 4. Yep, we're on 4. 4. 4. Yeah, starting to hit it hard enough you can see it now. Probably need a bigger hammer next time. Alright, number 5. That was a good one. I think some of these stamps are better than others. Alright, they're in there. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's just 5. That's 6. Need some used stamps I picked up somewhere. You can see why they're used. Not very good. Okay, so now I got all our blocks stamped. Might be able to read that down the road, maybe. Big if on that maybe. So these are project down the road to make some parallels up. This is a big chunk of plate that I have water jetted. Basically, they hold the floor down. Okay, now I gotta get all these dowel pins out of here. So the ones on the lower block that are missing, you can just push them down with a punch. The ones that are in the cover, we have to get these out. Now if you use a vise or a pair of channel locks or a pair of vice grips, it crushes the dowel and makes it uneven. You can still reuse it by flipping over and putting the bad side inside your part, but it's best not to damage it if you can avoid it. So we're going to go ahead and put this in the milling machine over here. I'm going to use the collet in the mill over here to hold it. So on the wrong side of this camera action. Alright. So this is our milling machine collet. 3/16. These are 3/16, so that'll hold into there. We'll tighten it down on the machine, and I can rotate this back and forth and pull down on it, and it should pull the dowel out and not hurt the collet too bad. So that's what we're going to try to do with it anyway. We'll see how that works. We'll also see if we got a crappier collet. Overseas. I'm going to use one of my worn out collets. I'm not going to use my real good one. This is my good one. This is my crappier one. So we'll pull this out of the overstock pile because that's not good on the collet. Keep doing that over and over and over on it. So we're going to get cheap. So let's see how this works. Dowels out. So there's our dowel pin that came out. Back that up. A little air leak over there. Getting that one's out. Next one. gonna push down evenly on these. There we go. There we go. Just keep grabbing these all the time. These gloss ones are better quality. Everything's better about this set. A lot tighter. Now if you have a lathe, you can do this on a lathe too. I don't need a lathe. That was worth the effort there. There you go. Alright, well you get the idea. So we'll be back. I gotta do a whole bunch of these. Alright, I got all these off now. So all of the pins are out. So now we're going to start sanding on them a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and sand the bottoms here off first, make sure they're dead flat. I'm going to take these back on a surface grinder and grind the rest of these a little bit more off the material. The bottom I just want to make sure it's flat. The top I'm actually take some off so I got something to work with. So we're going to get me some sandpaper over here. So I want to get some decent paper, preferably without chips all over it. Take a good piece right here. This is special 3M Pro Grade paper until I get my money's worth out of this stuff. So this is fine. This 150 grit. There it is. I knew somewhere it was marked. So this is used up for most things, but it'll still work for what I need for on these blocks. So we go over here. And we lay it over here on top of this table over here. It's our drill press table, big drill press. So this is a machine surface, pretty flat. This used to be sticky back. You just put it down and it should kind of sticks to itself a little bit. You want to keep it from bowing up a little bit, makes it unflat. I'm going to go ahead and sand every one of these, so it's not torn from here to here, so I can just go like this a couple of times and make sure it's flat. You can see how there's no burrs on it. Sand it nice and flat. Now if you're only sanding on the outside edges, then your paper's not flat or your table's not flat. So you got to make sure it's flat. You go 90 degrees each time. You got to do 45s. That gets all these surfaces going. And same deal, make sure it's good and flat. Same deal, keep looking at them, make sure they're good. You see the big machine marks on this one, but it's flat. That's what we want. Okay, so put these back in the pile, grab the other four. Grab the paper that's torn, it digs into it. Okay, see how this has a little bit of a low spot here, a little bit along the edge, but overall it's still pretty good. If you want to give it a few extra swipes, you can. It's not going to make a lot of difference because we're not taking a lot of material off when we're doing this. Mainly just looking for high spots. See how this one's more warped, so it needs a little more sanding. Now when you press them down, make sure you press equally on both sides, not just on one side. And so you picked up a little more surface area, so that's good. See how it's first swipe, you hear it. See where it catches only here and here, and a couple blocks. The block is warped slightly. Alrighty. Give it a couple more swipes. See, it's a little more area comes in each time you do that. 90 degrees. See, this one's pretty warped out, so we'll give a few more hits on the old paper. This is our worst one. It hurts your thumb when you push down on it too, but sometimes you have to sacrifice a little bit to get what you need. So this one's pretty darn uneven. So maybe get some fresh paper over here. Tear the paper over here. A little better. Still pretty far out. Coming a little bit better now. So you can see you're picking up more each time you do it. Close enough. The heads aren't flat either, so that one didn't sound very good at all. I see a high spot right here. That's about it. It doesn't look as bad as it was sounding. Still see the low spots though. Put more pressure on the palm. And that's coming a little bit better. Alright, so that's how you do that. Doesn't have to be perfect, but they need to be semi-flat. Now, one way you know if they're really flat or not, lay them next to each other. And if you feel anything that when you squish on the corners, there should be no movement. If you feel a block moving at all, it's not flat. That means your way you're sanding is no good. So that's your best way of telling. Just put two flat surfaces together. There's just no rocking. Alright, I think I'm mixing those up a little bit. But yeah, anyway, that's how you do it. So I'll go back to the next step. We're done with this part. Okay, we're back here on our welding table. Got our 12-inch disc sander here. So this is the old disc. I took it off. This one's pretty worn out. You see how it's all glazed over. It's barely cutting anything anymore. So now we got a brand new one on here. It's 120 grit, so fairly smooth. So these are we're going to use to grind these with. So we got the whole stack of our blocks here. Got them separated. So if we keep them in the pan this way, we won't mix them. At least that's the game plan. Right here, we don't need our water, so move that out of the way. Okay, so what we're going to do here is going to go ahead and take them out of here. I'm going to grind these tops on the new disc. So this is a brand new disc, so we got to get it cleaned up a little bit first. I don't want to just hit it with a brand new disc. So we got to get a piece of metal and true it up a little bit. So here's a piece of truing metal. So we just kind of put this on there and wear it in a little bit. Get the high spots worn off. tell the table's pretty square because the blocks are cut in square. You see how shiny the finish is, how smooth it is. Slow down a little bit more. So anyway, it keeps the block square. Put it over in the corner so it can rust again. Okay, so now our grinder is now broken in. So now we go ahead and hit it with this. Now we only want to put light pressure. The disc sander, no matter what you do, it's always going to grind more on the outside edge. The leading edge here is going to grind more. So you want to keep it to a very minimum how much pressure you put on this thing. Kind of rotate a little bit as you go. And it keeps a nice surface. Turn 180, do it again. Keep the pressure down, cuts the wear to a minimum. Alright, I don't need to take a lot off the bottoms. The top's where most of my action is going to be done. So now we're doing top. We do the same thing. There's the first pass. Turn it 180 in your hand, do the same thing again. There you go. Now depending on how much you need to cut off, you can do that twice or you can do it just once. Now we're still going to put this on the other table in the other room and do it again and make sure these are dead flat, because this will not be dead flat. Put them together, check them. Seems to be cutting pretty good for the new disc. Alright, so that's one set done. Now these are the older set. These ones are a lot more chewed up. So I'm going to probably grind these twice on this side. So we'll do the same thing again. Now if you keep the sanding speed down, you don't cut so much metal off. And it doesn't try to dig in so much and doesn't try to rock it like this on you. So we got a low spot here, didn't even hit. So is this one uneven or is the table not cut in square? That you don't know until you do it later. And this one's not flat either. And it's all in now. I'm going to do this twice on this one. Now the twisting action helps keep it flat so you don't have a leading edge. But you can see how it looks like it's cutting more on this outside edge than anything else. So lay them together. Feels pretty flat. That's good. That's why we're using a new disc, try to keep it flat. Maybe a little trick you do is try to make things flat and square. These ones are better, so we're only doing them once. There you go. So you're trying to make pressure even with your fingers. Well, it's torquing on you as you're doing it, but you're trying to keep it even. I keep my blocks equal, you know. I try not to separate our blocks here, keep them all consistent as I'm doing it here. We'll do one group at a time. You want to mix them up, even though we did mark them, they're hard to read. Big low spot on that thing. Now if these are really, really rough in here, you want to grind more. These are pretty smooth. This one has a little bit of roughness in it, but fairly smooth. See how uneven that is. Let me hit this one more time. I'm starting to bring it in a little bit. I don't really need it here, but I want to try to make an even surface to tighten against. If you don't pull down evenly over here, it cocks it and makes it narrow. It'll twist it and make it an uneven cut. Alright, so now we got 3 of the old ones to do. Now these are the 58 panhead blocks, and the clean ones are the 65 blocks. Got a mixed video here. See how low it is all through here? You can see my cross grind marks. So if you see that, you're probably halfway close to being flat. This one's warped also. Twice on this one. All right. That's good. I'm also going the same part as disc over there. I'm staying away from the outer 5/8 of an inch out here. I'm staying off of, because that'll it cuts more metal when you get way on that edge. Not too bad. Last one. Flat on the other one. Look how uneven this one is. Way off. Take some more off of it. Got to flatten out a little bit. This whole block was pretty uneven. It seems to be pretty good flatness this way. Alright, so these are all ground now. Yep. So now I'm going to take the pan, we'll go back up front, we're going to use the sandpaper method. So we'll go back and do that. Alright, back over here on the drill press table. Okay, I got a newer piece of paper. This one's 120 grit. Grit don't make too big of a difference. So this one's only been used a few times, so it's a lot better one to use. Stick it down. Okay, now we're going to take our one we already did. A few swipes and see how uneven it is. Look too uneven. Go back and forth a few times, see if you get a pattern in there. It appears it's going pretty even all the way out to the ears, which is what you want to see. So the last thing I do, I go in a circle. It just wipes it all clean. So it looks pretty good. Now we're going to do our steel block. Same thing. sure all the edges look pretty even. Looks pretty consistent. Give the circle pattern. A little bit on the bottom just to clean it up. Okay, now this one's all sand is done. So you can hear it. Sounds pretty flat when it hits. So yeah, it looks pretty darn good. So now you do all of these the same way. One set at a time. So look at your pattern, make sure it looks like it's not the sanding pattern. And you go in a circle, make it nice and smooth. Hit the bottom one time just to make sure it's still good. Now see, this is the one that wasn't very even on the bottom. So we'll give this a few more strokes. Get over here on the fresher stuff. Paper's not sticking down like it's supposed to, which is causing some issues. Yeah, it's a lot better now, a lot more even. Alright, so that one's good. Now this one, so you can see the circular marks from the saw, from the grinding disc. So now we go, let's put straight linear ones in here. So if you still see circular ones, then you know it's not flat. We have linear ones going this way and this way. It looks pretty consistent. So even out on the outside edges here, you can see it's linear, not circular. So you just do the circle, and you see how circle makes it really smooth. So there's another one down. Go back to the 65 blocks. This one we did quite a bit of grinding on. Looks pretty good. Do the circular, gives you a nice polished look. That one's done. Yeah, looks pretty even. Still got some low spots out here in the corners, but I think that was from the original casting. Alright, so that one's done. Oop, mixed up over here. Pull these out. Looks pretty even. And we're smooth right out to the edges. Looks good. Okay. Consistent. Alright, we're going to keep this up. We'll be back later.